Each story you hear on Planet Money starts with a question. What happens if we refund tariffs? Why are groceries so expensive? At NPR, we stand for your right to be curious because the forces shaping our world can be hard to see. Follow NPR's Planet Money wherever you get your podcasts and start seeing how the economy really works.
Welcome to Meet Me Here, KUOW's Arts and Culture Podcast. I am Dyer Oxley. I cover pop culture around here. And in this episode, we are talking about something folks throughout our region are getting up to at night. You know, sure, Seattle, many of our neighboring cities, we might not be known for our after-hours activities, but more and more people are emerging into the eventide to go to the market. Night markets, to be exact. Now, there have been some infrequent or annual markets that have popped up in our region. You know, there's one over in Bellevue on New Year's, but that's not really what we're talking about. There are these frequent community night markets that have become more of a regular happening around here. And we're going to be speaking with the founder of the SWAE Night Market down in Lacey to dive deeper into this. But first, to help make this point, I'm going to pull my producer, Matt Martin. I'm going to get him in front of a mic. He helps this podcast sound so great. Matt, how you doing?
Hello, Dyer. Good. How are you?
I'm doing swell. I'm stoked to talk night markets to you because we've briefly covered it, but do you want to tell me really quick, what is your experience with night markets in general? And this could be Seattle or anywhere.
Yeah, really my only experience was, pre-pandemic. I think like 2018 or 2019, I was in Vancouver, BC.
Okay.
And went to like an Asian night market there. And it was great. There was this big like neon sign that you walked under to like enter the night market. And my recollection, it was like 90% food vendors.
Oh, yeah.
That was great. So that's really my only experience.
It's interesting that you bring up that you went to an Asian-themed night market in Vancouver, BC, because I think that's a common thread through a lot of the folks I talk to who have founded these locally. And a great example of this is the Columbia City Night Market in Seattle. It's put on by a guy named Doc Wilson and his nonprofit, Peace Peloton. He has this mission, and that is to support and foster Black-owned businesses. And the night market is one way he does that. So Doc was telling me he went to Vietnam, and that the night markets there were just so lively. The community was out. There was just such a local community vibe. And he wanted to bring that to Seattle, so he made his own very Seattle version of a night market.
We certainly couldn't set it up like the markets I witnessed in other countries, but we could do our own thing here. So imagine you're here, you're walking down the street with your wife, and you hear a lot of loud commotion, and now all of a sudden, you are part of the commotion, right? You're in this mix because you wandered off of Rainier Avenue. Here's 12 different restaurants, and there's a shopping mall here. Oh, by the way, turn right, and there's ice cream. What's this? There's a beer garden. And there's a stage where performing artists are, and the only thing you paid is the energy it took you to kick your legs to this space. The only limits are what the city will allow and permit. We're planning on getting a permit for an aerial performance rigging. We've had fire performers, we have bands, we have music bingo. Anything that's going to bring people out of their houses and into this center and meet their neighbors and have fun. I have a pretty cool job.
Does have a pretty cool job. Aerial performances and fire dancers.
Yeah.
Like, what? I need to check this out.
I think bands is definitely a mainstay. They have there a lot of stages for bands. Doc was telling me kind of in the mission of this, he's helped a lot of the vendors at the night market get into local stores. So he said he walked across the street to PCC and was like, how do we get the folks from this night market into your store? And it started a relationship, and he helped foster that relationship.
So, this reminds me, I just last week, I was in New York City, and, you mentioned earlier that like Seattle doesn't have much of a night scene, and this month, it's all like night owls.
All night owls.
But when I was in New York City, I got out of a comedy show probably close to like 11, and I was walking down the street, and it was game 3 of the NBA Finals, and there was there were people on the street. There was someone had plugged a TV into their Cybertruck, and there was like 40 people on the sidewalk watching the Knicks basketball game. And I was just like, I've never seen this in Seattle. Like people like close to midnight just hanging out on the street watching a basketball game. It seems like this is something that's been missing.
To that point, people always say that we're not a night city. I would argue we are. There's just a very loud, influential voice that says, no, we're shutting down, you know. I believe people in Seattle and this region do want to go out at night. The demand is there, and these night markets are proof of that to some extent. The Columbia City Night Market, I do want to point out, you know, it happens every third Saturday, but it happens year-round, rain or shine. That is hardcore. Not all of them are that hardcore. You know, most of them will pop up in like the spring and go through the summer months. But I think that demand is out there.
I know. I have to admit, I'm not really a night owl, but you know, if there's fire dancers, that might get me out of my house.
So you're the reason.
I'm the reason.
So let's run through this to help make my point here. There are other night markets. They're in Puyallup. I saw one in Renton's Fairwood neighborhood. Tacoma has 2 night markets, including a black night market. I believe there's one happening out in Fremont in Seattle. And it just shows that maybe like this ball is kind of rolling, right? It's influencing others and more are popping up.
Yeah, I had no idea that all of these existed.
Seattle chefs love to eat at a swanky spot on their days off. But those fancy meals are not always a hit with their kids. I'm Brandy Fullwood, host of Seattleites, and on the latest episode, we learn why a James Beard finalist goes fast casual when he's with family, and he'll tell you exactly how to order at his go-to spot with or without kids. Listen to Seattle Eats on the KUOW app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's dive deeper into this with Jason Huang. He is behind the SWAE Night Market. That is the official night market of Lacey, Washington. Jason started this event in 2022. It happens a couple times each month, and he is here to talk all things night market. Jason, welcome to Meet Me Here.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you reaching out.
I appreciate you and everything you do. I'd appreciate it if you could, just for the uninitiated and the very unhip folks like myself, could you just tell folks what SWAE means?
It was literally Urban Dictionary. It means to be adventurous, to be spontaneous. And that's how I decided to roll with.
So SWAE as in adventurous, cool, happening.
Yes, sir.
And nothing to do with Patrick Swayze for some reason.
Nothing.
Okay, that's where my mind went. We'll just skip past it. SWAE Night Market happens in Lacey. I'm from that area. There's no real downtown in Lacey.
Correct.
Yet I just went to the last one that you just had. Flooded with people. Lots of food carts. I had some bibimbap. My wife had some nachos. And I will point this out. I really liked how you could buy real plants for sale, but you could also buy crochet house plants if you like. So that's the type of vibe going on there. Jason, where did all of this come from? Why did you start a night market in Lacey?
You know, being born in Taiwan, which is the mecca of all night markets, I thought this was an interesting place and opportunity to try to replicate something like that here in the stateside and feature all the local foods. And as you know, in Thurston County, it's not as diverse and not as cultural as the bigger cities like Tacoma and Seattle. So I took a chance on it, and I started inviting some local businesses that had the similar mindset, and it started from there. We started with maybe 15 to 20 vendors, and from there we were consistent with the marketing, and now we're able to host thousands of attendees on just a regular Friday afternoon, and allow all the participating businesses to have a platform for exposures, to generate income, and provide something for their businesses.
Yeah, I believe it. I had to circle the block a few times before I found some parking. So take some skill.
Yeah, it's an ongoing issue for sure. I think that was the one thing that the the city itself never expected us to grow it that big, that fast.
So you're born in Taiwan.
Correct.
This concept of a night market, particularly from Asian countries,
Sure.
I've spoken to some of the other founders of night markets in our region, and multiple ones have referenced, yeah, I went to Vietnam, I went to Thailand. They referenced those night markets from the Asian cultures that they traveled through. When they got back here and they had an opportunity to start something, they were like, oh yeah, I remember, I went to night, and it seems like that inspiration has kind of blossomed over here now, and it also seems like it's snowballing. But I want to circle back on something that you kind of said about where you're doing this. You do this in Thurston County. On your website, you have this statement that just kind of always stuck with me. You said that you want to put on cultural nights that actually mean something. What exactly do you mean by that?
I think cultural events and just events in general that highlights diversity and inclusiveness, it's easy to promote it. It's easy to slap the right words and vocabulary on the flyer, but to actually execute and provide that space to and inject that into an event is completely different. It's easy to say it, but doing it is completely different. And I feel like that's with diversity in general. Like it's easy for businesses to say we support one thing or another, but doing it is completely different. So I think for us, with the respect to those vibrant night markets overseas, especially the ones that I grew up, attending, I wanted that sense of community. I wanted that sense of cultural food. Just the entire event that's more meaningful. It's inclusive. Everyone's welcome. It's a place where people gather, have a good time. That's the focus of the event.
Didn't you tell me something before where, folks have come to your night market and they've said to you, like, I didn't even know we had this here. I didn't know we had this food here. I didn't know we had folks that would like dish this up.
And I think that's another beauty of the night markets here within the United States. It has its own flavors too. It has its own unique features, aspects of it, and such things like Peruvian food, Indian food. Now, things that are more unique and rare, especially in the Thurston County region. Us having the platform out there also allows those entrepreneurs to have the opportunity to showcase their products and not have to commit to a long-term commitment like a restaurant.
Yeah, I was telling Nina on our way out, I was like, we could just come here for dinner and just like tour every other week or so, just tour the night market here and just go from cart to cart, because there really is everything there. You did just mention something here. You really emphasize the idea of community. And that's something I feel like I keep coming across, this theme of community, because every night market seems to be its own different thing, its own vibe. And I did end up talking with the founder of the Columbia City Night Market. Have you heard of that one?
I've seen it for sure.
Yeah, it's up here in Seattle. Columbia City Night Market. It was founded by Doc Wilson. So I spoke with Doc, and he also commented on this idea of community at the night market.
I'm at every night market and I see people over and over again, and their neighbors, they're getting off work and they just want to unwind with a cold beer. So it's mostly people from the Columbia City, Hillman City. Some come down from Beacon Hill, some come down from Mount Baker and enjoy. When you involve the community, they have this sense of ownership and they start to help protect the night market.
So Jason, Lacey's about, I'm going to say 50-ish miles or so south of Columbia City. And I mean, like I said before, that there's no real like downtown there, but a lot of people live in Lacey. And I'm kind of curious, what have you learned about community through doing your night market down there?
I think there's a lot of similarities with what Doc said. It's bringing people together. It's be able to make an impact, leave a positive impact in anything that we do. We're a for-profit brand, for-profit business with our event productions. So we try to make sure that we're offering value to the city, to the people, to the businesses, and sort of being the incubator of of community events and local businesses to help people take off.
Well, the word is definitely out about the SWAE Night Market in Lacey. I can testify to that. My hot tips are to get there early, so give yourself some time to park. Plan for dinner to be there. Jason, any other tips for the SWAE Night Market?
You can find communities anywhere, but it's your job and your responsibility to go in there, leave a positive impact, make a difference, and contribute to the overall atmosphere and environment. So that's my goal.
Hey, Jason, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Come down anytime. Catch me at the night markets anytime.
I saw you when we were down there, but it looked like you were being quite demanded of at the time. I was like, I'm going to let him do his thing. So
stop me anytime. Yeah, stop me anytime. We'll make sure we get you taken care of with some good food. That's one thing we have a lot for sure. A lot of good food.
I got to thank Jason Huang with the SWAE Night Market, the official night market of Lacey. Go check it out. I can verify it's a scene, man. Also, Doc Wilson with the Columbia City Night Market, and Leah Morgan with the Tacoma Night Market. All of these very, very different night markets. Very, very fun. Meet Me Here is by KUOW, a proud member of the NPR network. It is produced by Kyle Norris, Brandy Fullwood, Matt Martin. It is hosted by Jeannie Yandel, Katie Campbell, and myself, Dyer Oxley. Our editor is Phyllis Fletcher. Now, if you like Meet Me Here, please take the time to rate and review us. It really does help get the word out about this podcast. This show is only possible because of your financial support, and you can help us make all of these local shows that you rely on over at kuow.org/meet. And thanks for listening.
Yes, I'm only a bill.
We all remember this song. It made it all seem so simple, and turns out it's not. Who writes, influences, and kills bills? It gets messy. I'm Scott Greenstone.
And I'm Libby Denkman. On Sound Politics, we tell that story, the inside track on how policy gets made in this Washington and the other one, and how it impacts you.
Listen now on the KUOW app or wherever you get your podcasts.